Reality Transurfing, Book 3, Forward to the Past, by Vadim Zeland. Chapter 2, Frailing, Looking for a Job. In conclusion of this chapter, I would like to demonstrate the principles of transurfing, including frailing, using one practical issue that concerns us all. Perhaps you have already come across information from various sources on how to create a resume and how to act on a job interview. Possibly you could easily draw new useful conclusions from what is mentioned below. To begin with, you would need to determine what your job is. Here, you can rely completely on the method of choosing your goal and door, so I won't be repeating myself. Just keep in mind that you have an actual right to choose. Your potential is only limited by your own intention and the level of importance you attach to it. In the process of identifying your job, do not think about its prestige, the means of achieving it, or about your flaws, but only about whether you really need this job. Let's assume you start doubting that there will be a spot for you at the workplace of your choice. In that case, you should know that pendulums will create the necessary environment for worry, disappointment, and even despair. You must be aware of that. You must keep telling yourself that you have the right to choose, and if you have made an order, it will sooner or later be completed. Let me repeat that. You must keep telling yourself that you have the right to choose, and if you have made an order, it will sooner or later be completed. In your dream, your intention works instantly, but material realization is inert, like tar. Thus you will need time, patience, and a firm conviction that you have a right to choose. In a bad restaurant, you have to wait for the waiter for quite a while, yet you are always confident that your order will be completed. Hence, I recommend you use the following slide. You are making your choice. You are the one determining what job to have, but where it will come from is not your problem. There are all things possible in the space of variations. Pendulums are the ones trying to make your mind believe the opposite. The only thing you have to do is to choose and have a firm intention to get your order. Of course, if it is not possible for you to wait, then you will have to do what is currently available. I hope that is clear. But having gotten a job that will provide you with the subsistence wage, you can order the very best and calmly wait for it to come true. If you like your job, but you feel some kind of constraint, then carry a slide about how well you are doing this job, what pleasure and satisfaction it gives you. If the constraint isn't going away with time, then it is your soul experiencing it. In that case, it is worth trying other options. Once you have identified the job you'd like to have, start playing in your head the slide, where the goal has already been attained. Meanwhile, it is, of course, essential that you do not sit on your hands, but that you are doing what is required of you. However, before you start creating your resume and preparing for a job interview, you need to focus your intention in the right direction. It would be wrong to focus on the goal to get hired. The goal must be present in your thoughts as a slide, where you are already hired and everything is already behind you. By thinking about whether you will be hired or not, you will unavoidably create scenarios of defeat. Recall the transfer chains. Recall the transfer chains. The first link is to create a resume. That is what you need to focus your internal intention on. While creating a resume, when applying for a job, mention everything you know how to do, but cite only one position. the one you are applying for. There are strong reasons for this. Firstly, attempting to show a readiness to do this and that, and whatever else you are showing your insecurity and are running a risk of making your potential employer suspicious of you. He will think that you are happy to do any job, as long as you are hired. Secondly, by setting before you several goals at the same time, you are spreading yourself thin, and your attention turns from being a core into an amoeba. Thirdly, when you are taking too much on yourself, you are concentrating excess potential around you, and as a result, you will end up with nothing. You can choose, but you can only choose one quality at a time. After all, when you are choosing a toy, you do not demand that it should combine the qualities of a doll, a board game, and a gun. Find out, who would you actually like to be? What position would suit you best? Don't be shy. After all, you are choosing a job for yourself. Remember, you do not have to fight for your place under the sun. You have the right to choose. Indicate the profile that you have chosen. Don't let the fact that jobs like that are scarce worry you. Don't let the fact that jobs like that are scarce worry you. If you let yourself have, you will get exactly what you want. Let me repeat that. If you let yourself have, you will get exactly what you want. How it will be realized should not be your concern. Leave it to external intention. When creating a resume, internal intention is aimed at showing what a brilliant specialist you are. External intention, on the other hand, is aimed at the needs of the employer. Do you feel the difference? Of course, everyone needs brilliant specialists. However, if you are new at job hunting, then you will be really confused when the employer will prefer someone with more modest virtues to a brilliant specialist like yourself. Your rival will beat you just because his parameters make the best match with the employer's idea of the position. Your rival will beat you just because his parameters make the best match with the employer's idea of this position. But you match too, and even more than that. Well, that is the problem right there. This more than that creates a situation where better is the enemy of good. The employer is completely involved in his internal intention to pick a specialist that corresponds to the certain parameters already established by the employer. So he is beating against the window, not noticing such a wide open window like yourself. Your mind is unable to predict demand. He will try to present you as a masterpiece that you are in his opinion. But the market dictates criteria of a different kind. You could and should strive to show yourself in the best possible light, without exaggerating, of course. But while you are doing that, direct all your thoughts and motives at the problems of your potential employer. Keep asking yourself, what does he want to get from you? What does he need? Put yourself in his place. You could do this the extremely easy way. Look at the vacancies that match your profile and write down all the responsibilities and the required qualities of potential candidates. You'll see yourself. They are the same in many respects. Out of this general mass, select everything that applies to you, and you will get what the employer wants to see in your resume. In your resume, you could literally copy everything the employer wants from the given candidate. While trying to embellish yourself, do not express yourself using your own made-up phrases. Instead, use the language spoken by the actual employer. Let me repeat that. While trying to embellish yourself, do not express yourself using your own made-up phrases. Instead, use the language spoken by the actual employer. Imagine that you are not a competitor, but an employer, creating the perfect resume of his employee. In that case, the resume will meet his criteria and not yours. But to do that, you would need to look through a lot of job ads and put yourself into the shoes of the people who put up these ads. You could and should indicate everything you know and can do above what is required. However, You should especially highlight and enhance the things actually required by the employer. Your resume must strike a clear chord of the employer's requirements. Before placing your resume on, for example, the internet, put yourself in the place of an employer and look for the resumes of specialists that correspond to your own profile. I promise you will make quite a few discoveries and get a huge advantage. The thing is that the majority of people looking for a job, guided only by their internal intention, rushes directly to the section of available positions and places their resume. So to begin with, try to look for the resumes of people that are experts at your job. Imagine that you are the one selecting the candidate to work at your business. Then you will see all the good and bad qualities of your rivals. You will know what the employer is feeling reading the very same resumes, and you will realize what needs changing in your resume. Once the resume has been completed, you can send it to various companies. Just don't be pounding at the door. Let it open by itself. In other words, you need to offer yourself without insisting. Make them choose you. For example, publish your resume in various means of mass information. Do not pressure the world with your desires and ambitions. Move your focus from looking for a job to announcing your presence on the labor market. As much as possible, allow the job to find you. Never send out the same resume to different employers. You need to respect yourself and know your worth. If you are an exclusive specialist, send your resume to recruitment agencies and calmly wait for the catch. Do not count on an immediate response. It could be the case that you would have to wait for a long time for your order to come through. All depends on the purity of your intention. If your desire burns with a bright flame, the balancing forces will interfere with your progress in all possible ways. An order is often completed when all hope has been lost. The more indifferent you are to your order, the sooner it will appear. The more indifferent you are to your order, the sooner will it be completed. An absence of desire grants freedom. This allows you to focus on the intention to act instead of worrying about a potential failure. Finally, you have been called for an interview. Now you must be particularly thorough in watching the direction of your intention. Thoughts about what working at this particular company will bring you would be the narrow-minded internal intention. Focusing your thoughts on what you will bring to this company would be external intention. Let me repeat that. Focusing your thoughts on what you will bring to this company would be external intention. Now is the time to throw away the slide with your goal, to turn away from yourself, and to completely focus on the needs of your employer. Now is the time to throw away the slide of your goal, to turn away from yourself, and to completely focus on the needs of the employer. Now you must be interested exclusively in his internal intention. Find out as much as possible about the company from its promotional material. Identify what is the special pride of the company, what differences it highlights in comparison with its competitors. Get a really clear picture of this. You should definitely mention these aspects at the interview. Every company, as any pendulum, has its own resonant frequency. This frequency is characterized by a variety of parameters. Determine the spirit of this company. What is their corporate ethics, regulated or unregulated? What is the accepted way of interaction, official or friendly? What is more valued in the working attitude, enthusiasm and initiative, or discipline and a sense of duty? What is more valued in the working attitude, enthusiasm and initiative, or discipline and sense of duty, group work or individuality and creativity, and so on. All of these things impose restrictions on the employees, determine their behavior patterns, and make them members of the group. If you manage to get imbued with the company spirit, once you are at the interview, you will already be considered as one of their own. Let me repeat that. If you manage to get imbued with the company spirit, once you are at the interview, you will already be considered as one of their own. Before the interview, give yourself an indulgence of your flaws and the lack of virtues. If you know you've got flaws that could be in the way of you getting the job, and if you know that you do not possess certain essential skills and knowledge, accept it. Accept yourself as you are. Accept everything about yourself that you would have to like to hide, and calmly go to the interview. There are no ideal candidates, as there are no ideal employers, so you can go ahead and throw away internal and external importance. You do not have to justify your actions before yourself or anyone else. Of course, everything said here doesn't mean that you do not have to work with your flaws at all, but during the interview, it is absolutely crucial that you allow yourself to have flaws. Everyone knows that it is not good to be nervous at an interview. A lot of people are trying to fight their nervousness with the power of internal intention. But no matter how much you tell yourself that you are calm, no matter how much time you spend persuading yourself not to get nervous, it is all in vain. You won't be able to do anything about your nervousness, not having eliminated its cause. Fighting nervousness could lead to your mind going blank and you acting as the mummy of an Egyptian pharaoh. The only way to get rid of nervousness is to accept a defeat in advance. Let me repeat that. The only way to get rid of nervousness is to accept a defeat in advance. The desire to get hired generates an excessive potential. The more significance you attach to a successful outcome, the more important it is for you to get this job, and the less chance you have. It is crucial that you clear your intention of desire. Let me repeat that. It is crucial that you clear your intention of desire. You are going to an interview not to get hired, but to go through an interview. Not to complete an interview, but to go through an interview. Do not strive towards the goal. Focus on the process instead. Let me repeat that. Do not strive towards the goal. Focus on the process instead. Live and enjoy the interviewing process. No one is going to eat anyone. You've got nothing to lose. This is the case where you need to relax and take pleasure in the process. Set your mind on that. After all, the interview is an excellent opportunity to present yourself in the best light. So why don't you allow yourself such bliss? You can cast away any thoughts about messing up. After all, once you have already accepted a defeat, you have nothing more to lose. When at an interview, all thoughts of a job seeker are directed at presenting himself in the best light. This is internal intention. In what light could you present yourself as the best suited candidate? External intention is focused on a sincere interest in the problems of the employer. Let me repeat that. External intention is focused on a sincere interest in the problems of the employer. Only in the light of his problems could you be the best. While answering the questions, your task is to always bring the discussion down to the context of the employer's problems. At the same time, you need to answer the questions asked precisely, without talking profusely and deviating from the subject. While answering the questions, your task is to always bring the discussion down to the context of the employer's problems. At the same time, you need to answer the questions asked precisely, without talking profusely and deviating from the subject. It is very irritating to the employer when an applicant does not provide a concrete answer to his question, but instead goes into a lengthy explanation. Yet, at the same time, as soon as the opportunity arises, touch on the issues of what the employing company does, what it takes pride in, what problems it has. You should build the discussion on this platform. Your virtues must be presented in the light of the problems of this particular company. Your virtues must be presented in the light of the problems of this particular company. Talk to the employer about his problems and about how you could help solve these problems using your professional qualities. And this would be external intention. If you manage to direct the discussion into the channel of the problems of the employer, then you can consider the game already running according to your scenario. Finally, if you were unsuccessful in getting the job, it means that it is not yours. You do not yet know what problems you have so easily and nicely escaped. Stay calm. Wait for your job to show up, and you will get it. However, if you got someone else's job, expect problems. Thus, it is better to look for your job. How to do that, you already know. Thoughts about your job should not cause even the slightest discomfort in your soul. That is the case when you are going to work, like on a holiday. End segment.